Now 5 o'clock in New York and in Washington, D.C., which is for some reason surprised by the latest announcements from the incoming president, Donald Trump. Washington insiders coming to grips with a series of appointments they find stunning. Appointments made by Donald Trump to head the most important cabinet departments, national security agencies, no less, in the last 20 hours. Trump naming former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard to be his director of national intelligence, a former Democrat Fox News figure. And as we have been talking about, he just named Congressman Matt Gaetz to be his pick for Attorney General and to lead what is, by most measures, the biggest employer in the country, if not the world, with nearly 3 million employees and a presence in more than 51 countries, the bulwark of American national security and America's commitments to our allies. Donald Trump has chosen another Fox News fixture for that job. Pete Hegseth is a decorated Army veteran, but he's probably best known, as CNN reports, for, quote, putting on a show specifically for Trump, quote unquote, on Trump's favorite network, Fox News, on the weekends, and for his contempt for anything seen as woke. He will be the defense secretary if he is confirmed. Here's some of what he has said over the years on Fox and on social media, where he hawks so-called anti-woke products.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards.
I have friends who've texted me who are not very political saying, I'm coming to Washington, D.C. today because I can't handle what's happening in my country.
These folks on the lawn, and there were more than I'd ever seen. These are not conspiracy theorists motivated just by lies. That's a bunch of nonsense that people want to tell us. These are people that understand first principles. They love freedom and they love free markets.
I'm reminded about the hole that was on my wall when I got rid of my Harvard degree. Thankfully, I replaced it with an honorary gunsmithing program degree from the Pennsylvania Gunsmith School.
I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
No, I inoculate myself. It's just not, germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
So totally anti-woke. They're not going for any of that garbage. And I need to show you their product one more time. It's a grenade. Caliber Coffee. What's their motto? Faith, family, firearms, coffee. It's veteran-owned and damn good.
Freedom.
Freedom. Freedom.
Hegseth is someone who's had Donald Trump's ear for a very long time. Washington Post reports this, quote, Hegseth was a key player, for instance, in convincing the then president to intervene in the war crimes cases of 3 U.S. service members in 2019. That effort led to pardons for 2 Army officers, Matthew L. Goldston and Clint Lawrence, in separate murder cases, and a redemption of sorts for Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher, who had seen his rank reduced after a military jury acquitted him of murder charges, but found him guilty of posing for a photograph with a corpse. Using his platform on Fox News, Hegseth lobbied repeatedly on behalf of the 3 men, even as platoon members serving under Lawrence and Gallagher described the killings as cold-blooded and unnecessary. One squad leader in their platoon called it, quote, straight murder. Trump dropped charges against Goldston, pardoned Lawrence, and reversed Gallagher's demotion. Now the nomination of Pete Hegseth is setting off alarm bells at the Pentagon. Politico reporting this, quote, national security officials and defense analysts had braced for surprises from Trump after experiencing his first 4 years in office. But even grading on that curve, they say the announcement of Pete Hegseth caught them totally off guard. Trump puts the highest value on loyalty. That's Eric Edelman saying that, who served as the Pentagon's top policy official during the Bush administration. Quote, it appears that one of the main criteria that's being used is how well do people defend Donald Trump on television? One assessment was more blunt. Who the F is this guy, said a defense industry lobbyist who spoke anonymously, to be candid. Should he be confirmed, Hegseth's first order of business will likely be that purge of Pentagon top brass. Here's what he said on a podcast 6 days ago.
You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go.
Gotta go. The future of the United States military on the line as Donald Trump nominates a Fox News weekend morning show host to be the Secretary of Defense is where we begin the hour. Retired four-star Army General and MSNBC military analyst Barry McCaffrey's here. Plus, retired U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, founder of the Democratic Majority Action PAC, Amy McGrath is here. And the president of Media Matters for America, Angelo Carasone, is here. With me at the table, host of the Independent Americans podcast, founder and CEO of Independent Veterans of America, Paul Rieckhoff, is here. Paul, I'm going to start with you because you predicted some of these moves earlier this week. Did you have an inside line, or how did you know?
No, but I know Pete Hegseth, and I know his relationship with Trump. Almost everybody in the veterans community knows him and knows how close he is to Trump because he talks about it all the time. I would have predicted him for press secretary maybe, or maybe even chief of staff. They might have tried to put him in at VA secretary, but this is a very, very radical and bold move. And I think it's a reflection of Hegseth's loyalty to Trump more than anything else. Hegseth is a very effective culture warrior. He's very good at communications and at the religious war and at the political war, but he is the most unqualified candidate for this position in the history of America. He is so underqualified that from the moment the news broke, my phone, and I'm sure McCaffrey's and everybody else's phones blew up with everybody saying, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, is this serious? The opportunity for him to do damage is really, really profound. And we're talking about a guy who says he wants no women in the military. He wants to remove all diversity initiatives. He wants to fire all the senior leadership at the department that used to be called Department of War. This is the Pentagon with 2.7 million employees, the most diverse workforce on the planet. This is very dangerous, but it's also on strategy because Trump, I'd ask everybody to take a big, deep breath. Trump is throwing like a giant flash grenade into America. He wants to disorient people. He wants to flood the zone. And we all need to take a big, deep breath and recognize the threat for what it is. Don't dismiss all these videos because Hegseth could very well be the Secretary of Defense. And we as a country have to think about putting up those guardrails because this is what it looks like when there's no guardrails.
Well, and I guess the only thing I would say is he will be the Secretary of Defense if people think Senate Republicans are a bulwark against anything.
I don't. And I mean, I've said this publicly. I'm not counting on the Democrats either. I mean, that's what we see now. I mean, Trump has the opportunity to run the table. And I think, voices that we've heard over the last couple of months may not even resonate. So now you're, again, talking about people inside the Pentagon. After they try to execute a purge, you're going to have the very foundation of the fabric of our country trying to hold the line. Trump's going for the Pentagon first because it's the Pentagon that stopped him last time, right? This is where Milley held the line and stopped him from deploying the National Guard against American civilians. That's why he's going to the Pentagon and the defense industry first, because it's the most formidable resistance to what he wants to execute.